out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, ANTN. Welcome to our first full day of conference. Yay. Welcome to those in the room and those who are watching us live, Angie and Uta Maria, and I don't know who else, but it's so good to see you guys. Did you have a nice rest? Good. By the way, I'm Michelle Whittington. I probably should introduce myself. Michelle Whittington, Dr. Michelle Whittington. And woohoo! I've been an ANTN member since almost the inception. And I am honored and delighted to be your MC for the day. And I started thinking, I did the opening ritual last night. I did the meditation this morning. I'm doing this today. You're probably really going to be sick of me by the end of the day, but then I'm done. So then I'm just going to sit out there for the rest of the time. So I'm so happy that you are here this morning, and strap in because it's going to be a beautiful morning. The first thing I want to say before we even do our opening prayer is that in a little bit, we're going to have a beautiful panel up here talking about trends in ministry. And we want to have that panel answer your questions. Therefore, you need to pose some questions. Martha is going to hand out a little strip of paper right now. And so at some point during today, before we get to the panel, if you think of a question, write it down. And then when the panel comes up here later, we'll collect them all and then pull them. It'll be a little grab bag thing. We'll pull them, and they will have an opportunity to answer your questions. So those forms are coming around right now. And as a question pops into your mind, please feel free to write a question down. And already I have forgotten to move there. Good morning. So let's get those passed, because I know it's impossible to pass paper without talking. Right? It's impossible to pass without talking. All right. So let's take a deep breath. I'm going to invite Reverend Denny Ralston to come forward to offer our opening prayer for us.
Good morning. Isn't it a glorious day? Let's take a moment to close our eyes and just drink in the gratitude for this glorious day. And in that sense of gratitude, we recognize and know that there is only one power and one presence, the all-knowing, the infinite divine mind, all that is. And we are here today to embrace this spiritual community, this family, this time together to learn, to grow, and to be all that we can be. We learn to serve. We learn to be even more generous. And we learn to work together in kindness and compassion. And for all that will happen today and unfold, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we release this, knowing it is so. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Denny. Well, we are so blessed to have, what did I just do? There we go. Thank goodness, there it is. We're so blessed to have Melissa and Z with us, as they will be the entire time, but with us right now to open us up with a song. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Did you sleep okay? I know sometimes, the first night it's like, whew, but okay, I'm glad you're all awake. That's good. We're going to do another little up-tempo song.
You ready to sing?
Are you ready to sing?
Awesome.
All right. Okay.
I think that's all we have to say,
I think that's all
Larry.
we have to say for now.
I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. That's it. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Yes, I wanna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this. After me, Spirit loves me. Spirit loves me. I know that. Spirit loves me. Spirit loves me. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Yes. When I'm down, I turn to you. When I'm down, you pull me through. Yeah. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. See?
All alone, feeling broken, I don't know where to go. Got a feeling if I'm willing, Spirit's opening the door, so I'm asking. Passing time while I'm crashing in the last sad gasp of confusion, and it's slow. A little knowing that won't let go. Can't ignore it, and you know I won't, cause it's growing in the open. No more hoping now. Spirit holds my soul and says you gotta let me love you now. You are worthy of this love, so why not let me love you now? For you are worthy of this love. Yeah.
I surrender every little thing. Yeah, I surrender. Hear me sing. I wanna hear you sing. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Worthy. I am worthy of this love. I am worthy of this love. Yes, I am worthy of this love. Woo!
Well, that woke us up. I like that. That woke us up. I am very honored and excited to introduce our speaker, our first speaker. We are so privileged to be on these grounds, yes, on these sacred, holy, amazingly beautiful grounds. And as a girl, I like to say that loosely, as a girl from Phoenix, I don't get to see leaves changing. And to be here now, see, some of you take that for granted. I don't get that. And to see the leaves changing around the Unity Tower, it actually brings some amazing tears to my eyes. It is so beautiful. So we're so grateful and thankful to be in this blessed place. And our speaker this morning, our first speaker this morning, is Reverend Jim Blake, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Unity Worldwide Headquarters. And we're so happy to have Reverend Jim with us. I want to give you a little bio of his because it's pretty darn impressive, and I want you to hear all of it. Reverend Jim Blake has more than 3 decades of study and service in New Thought traditions and organizations. He rejoined Unity World Headquarters as CEO in 2016, having previously served as Chief Information Officer and Vice President of Operations from 2006 to 2011. Prior to being named CEO, he served with global leading innovators in the traffic and energy industries. Jim has more than 20 years of executive leadership experience with some of the fastest growing and most innovative companies in North America. Jim has a bachelor's degree in computer science from Central Methodist University and a master's of divinity from the Johnny Coleman, love it, Theological Seminary. He was ordained as a Unity minister in 2021. Please join me in welcoming Jim Blake.
Thank you for that warm welcome and introduction. And thanks to all of you. It is a joy to have you all back here again. And I thought today I'd go through a handful of things with you, just sort of bring you up to speed. You weren't here last year, right? As hardly anyone was, as you can imagine. And so I thought I would cover a little bit about how we sort of weathered the pandemic and some things happening there. And then, because you guys are frequent visitors, I thought I'd give you some inside scoop on some cool things that are going to happen around campus in the next couple of years. That sound okay? All right, let's see if this works. Oh my gosh, it does. All right, so we're off to a great start. So again, I really can't thank you enough. Year after year, you guys come here. Certainly our honor and privilege to host you, and I love the consciousness and enthusiasm and everything you bring to campus. So as much as you use these loving words to describe this campus, just know that we consider you a part of it. You're a part of the family here. So as you know, in March, we, like everyone else, locked down. One of the things that we made a priority was ensuring that no matter what, we didn't want to release anyone during this pandemic. And so we did everything in our power to make sure that people didn't lose their jobs. There was a good period of time where some folks who could not work at home or work on campus were just left to be at home. But we paid them anyway and made sure they kept their jobs. Thank you. Because we've really built a community and family here, and it just we didn't want to add to the stress of what was happening in the world. Our development team immediately went to work. We began to move probably 80% of our workforce home. They raised money for 65 computer systems for remote associates in customer care and the Silent Unity prayer ministry. We were on that path, but we maybe had 20 stations in hand, and all of a sudden we needed 120 to get everybody home and working. In about 3 weeks, we were able to accomplish that. In terms of our response, I asked the team to pull down all promotions. So we didn't promote anything. We didn't try to sell anything. The only thing we did was put forth spiritual resources and materials that would help people cope, whether it was with fear, health and wholeness, grief, just anything we could that sort of spoke to what was happening in the world to make sure people had it. I asked the development officers not to try to raise any money. Just call the donors and check on them. See if there's anything we can do, anything we can send. It seemed kind of radical to people, but it actually paid off in ways we never expected. The Fillmores used to say, if you just do the work, the rest will take care of itself. And that was the case in this case. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we move forward here. So you can see magazine subscriptions for Daily Word and UMag are both trending upwards and still are. Silent Unity has seen a steady increase in the number served. Our booklet ministry, all the different booklets we published, experienced 10% growth in donations. Any outdoor activity like the golf course, we increased sales and tee times. Actually, it's been a record 2 years for the golf course. It's probably been a record for our 2.5-mile walking trail. There were Saturday mornings I would come up and there'd be 100 cars already in the parking lot with just families and people walking that trail. So campus was a real respite for people to get out of the house and move around. The Airbnbs continue to be popular. It became sort of a staycation thing, so people could get out of their house and come stay here on campus. I talked about the walking trails. The biggest tip for us was obviously hospitality. You guys weren't here. No one was here, really, and campus was pretty much closed. So here are some changes to consider. You've probably already heard all of this. All the public-facing spaces here are still open, masking inside if possible. The buildings where employees work are largely closed, mostly because most of our employees are working remotely, and those that are here aren't necessarily feeling as safe as some others are, and so we've just sort of reduced the amount of traffic moving in and out of our employee areas. The top of the tower is closed. And as you can see, or probably if you haven't seen, the 11 a.m. prayer service that we used to do on grounds is now hosted online. And this is one of those, here's what I'll say. We had a fair amount of challenges with the pandemic, but we also had a fair amount of blessings. We were struggling a little bit with the 11 a.m. prayer service. It needed some innovation. It needed some love, rethinking. When this happened, we put it online. And instead of reaching 30 people on campus, we're reaching 1,000 people a day. And so that change will likely stay. So here's some, just to give you a feel, and it was really capped off in this last year, but this is over the last 3 years. We've had 7 million site visitors to our websites, 46 million page views, 56,000 booklets downloaded. That does not include the ones that we've distributed via mail. 443,000 prayer requests. The Unity Online Radio live listeners has increased by 112%. Sign-ups for the e-newsletters has increased 790%. During this time, people were really looking for anything and everything to help them move through this time. And so dramatic increases there. And this is really encouraging because everybody's always saying, Jim, how are we going to get younger in New Thought and in Unity? And the fastest growing demographic on the website right now is the 25 to 35 range. And so what we have deduced is you don't have to create some special content and market to a particular audience. If you provide the materials in the tools and in the places where these folks are, those that are looking for it will find it and gravitate to it. So we're very excited about that. Here's some social stuff. So our Facebook engagements increased 316%. Daily Word Facebook engagement 200%. And even Spanish language went up 327%. So a lot around the ministries has continued to grow. And we're very blessed by that, and we're honestly very blessed and honored to be able to serve in that way. Here's what we look like here. So we have 300 full-time associates, 300 full-time and part-time associates on grounds. And I did not, like I said, we have a pretty family-friendly, family-oriented culture. So I didn't make any demands on what people should do. When we started to open back up, we let people choose. We had been so productive, as you can see from the growth and so forth, that there was no reason to rush everybody back into the office. And so we let people decide, and what we ended up with is 20% still remain full-time on campus, 40% decided to stay full-time remote, and another 40% chose what they call a hybrid schedule, where they would come in a couple of times a week. I don't believe the hybrid schedule number is correct, because what we didn't foresee when we let people choose that is they thought, I want to come into campus because I want to see my friends and colleagues. And so they come into campus, and there's like 2 people here. Where's everybody at? And so I'm not sure the hybrid thing stuck, because I think people were looking for a way to connect a couple of days a week, and it just doesn't exist because everybody's on different schedules, and most people stayed remote. So we are working on all kinds of ways to keep our folks engaged with one another, both virtually and in person. So some future, I wanted to talk about the prayer ministry, and at some point, maybe next year, we'll get you up there, but that has been totally consolidated to the 3rd floor of the Silent Unity building. It's where the original prayer room was, with the 12 disciples around the room and the globe in the center. So they're back there and all on the 3rd floor, and they have brand new state-of-the-art furniture that's ergonomically correct. It raises and lowers. First time their space has been updated in maybe 30 years. And that's got a real Unity story to it, by the way, another one of those blessings. A nonprofit across the state line was relocating to Denver, and they had over $500,000 in office furniture that they were looking to unload and didn't want to move. And once they found out who we are, we're a nonprofit, they basically gave it to us for about $50,000. And so we've now had the opportunity to refurnish almost all of our associates' working spaces. So they've moved, our IT team and development have moved to new spaces. Hospitality is now in the tower where they're easy to find. And you'll see us move customer care and people support into the 1st floor of the education building. Everyone will have new space when this is all said and done by the end of the year, which is something that hadn't been done around here for a long time. So not only are we investing on the external facing spaces, but we're also investing in the spaces for our associates. As you know, and if you've noticed, I know that some of you have noticed because you've been coming here year after year, but I wanted to explain it. People get a little bit confused, and It's why I sort of led with what we were doing on the ministry side first. They see all the external changes, and I'm not shy about saying, listen, the renovations we're doing is to generate revenue to fund the ministry work from now until the end of time. I want this place to be here another 100 years. The biggest asset we have besides our associates is this campus. And it was basically dying and vacant. I mean, when I first came back, there's 465,000 square feet of office space here. There were wings that were empty. If you take that and divide it by our 300 associates, it's like 1,500 square feet per person. That's a big office. So we've done some consolidating, started leasing, and doing a lot of these other things to generate consistent revenue. We were largely funded by donations, which is beautiful and wonderful, and we certainly don't want that to stop. But donations fluctuate with world affairs, with the change in government, with all kinds of things. And so we didn't want to keep having to react to what was happening in the world. We create these revenue streams that are steady and sustainable year over year, and then we don't have to be so reactionary when there are changes. So what have we done? We did the ballrooms over in the banquet and dining area. You've seen the hotel, obviously. Both the hotel and the Airbnbs are award-winning. The hotel is #1 in its space of 109 across the country. This is the #1 spot in the country. The new Lowell Fillmore Garden, hopefully you've seen that. The classrooms over in the education have been updated. They are completely state-of-the-art, repainted. You can basically swipe from your laptop up onto the screens on the wall. Some really cool stuff like that. Have you been to the new cafe and bookstore yet? Okay, if you haven't, go take a look. It's completely renovated. Some good food and stuff in there. We've got a brand new line of really cool t-shirts, which I hope you'll enjoy. Golf course and clubhouse I talked about, and then the Silent Unity Prayer Ministry. So all of that, again, is to help us continue to generate stable revenue so that we can fund this ministry work for the next 100 years. So what did we do? These are the two Airbnbs. One is Fillmore Manor. Rosemary Fillmore Ray was born in that house. The second one was Hummingbird Vista. Those are both available for stay. One sleeps about 8 to 10, the other sleeps 12 to 14. The next thing we're going to do is the student hotel, which is the largest cottage on campus. When it's done, it'll sleep about 18 to 20. This is sort of the bottom floor, so you can see the open floor plan. This is what it'll look like when it's done. So you'll see a nice kitchen there with a dining and then a big living room. What's beautiful about these and what we've done with these cottages is we've left all the historical timbers that were used to build it, that were cut right here on campus, and really just made state-of-the-art kitchens and bathrooms. So you have the historical aesthetics of the home combined with the creature comforts that we've all come to enjoy. So on the left, you'll see our COO and President Guy Swanson and Max, our facilities guy, standing in what it looks like today. That's what it'll look like when it's complete. Here's a couple more shots from the kitchen, so you can get a feel for that. The other two cottages that we're about to invest in, one is to honor Johnny Coleman. It's called the Johnny Coleman Cottage. Her and Reverend Dr. Ruth Mosley, who founded the Urban School. Both were trailblazers and have done so much for the New Thought movement, and we thought it important to honor them. So the Johnny Coleman Cottage is formerly Rickart's office. This is what it looks like, basically. It's going to be one of the smaller ones. And we're trying to work out a methodology to make this, to allow ministers to have preferential reservation privileges for this. We used to have something on grounds called the Harmony House. And when ministers wanted to take a retreat or get away, they could come and stay in that. This will be similar to that. As you can see, it has kitchen and living room on one side and then one primary room. Here's what it'll look like when it's done. So those timbers are the things I'm talking about. Those are original. We're leaving those, and then we'll just be updating the spaces. Ruth Mosley is the old, cottage will be the old clubhouse, which is down by the pool. We're just beginning fundraising on that as well. If you guys remember this space, it's got a couple of bedrooms, but it's got this huge sort of living room and entertaining area, and so it'll look like that when it's complete. So we expect both of these to be complete by the end of, I'm going to say mid to end of 2023. And then this is one of the things I'm really most excited about. Many of you know we're creating or renovating the huge activity center into a state-of-the-art event center. So we're going to need the parking lot space pretty soon. And one of the things I've always wanted to do is put a different type of Labyrinth in. And so we found an artisan who specializes in labyrinths. So the labyrinth will be, this is the design. I did something a little unique. In the center, you will notice 3 benches. I always want to sit and contemplate when I get to the center. And so now we'll have the opportunity to do that with 3 lighted benches. This will be made from 10,000 hand-cut stones. They are master craftsmen. It'll be 90 feet. The circle in the center will be 22 feet. Here's some samples. So the stones in the middle will be the pathway. The lines that mark the pathway will be red. That's the color of the benches over there. This is an example of the work they've done. This is all they do, and they last forever. They've got labyrinths that they did 40 years ago that look brand new. So that's a couple of samples of their work and what you can expect. That breaks ground any time now. It's going right on the other side of the Rose Garden. So if you're up there by the Champagne Fountain and you're in the Rose Garden and there's a portico there, if you step through that portico, there's a large grassy area. That's where the new labyrinth will be. We expect it to be ready by May or summer of next year. Okay, finding our way. So one of the things that was really interesting when we started doing all this and inviting and having a whole lot more people to campus is everyone needed directions. And I don't care who you were, if you were walking around campus, someone would likely stop you and go, hey, where's this meeting at? And you would go, oh, it's over in the Silent Unity building. And they would go, what's the Silent Unity building? And so inside baseball, everyone's been accustomed to that around here, but it's not helpful when we're bringing all these new people to campus. So we've gone around and put numbers on all the buildings. We have a brand new map, which is available in the bookstore, so that you'll be able to use it, and it marks all of the amenities. So again, as you're here this time and next time, you'll have clear directions in terms of how to move around on campus. I won't go through that. This is the event center I talked about. I'm going to move through this relatively quickly, but I want you to see what's coming. We're about halfway through the fundraising for this, and I want to give you just a glimpse of what it's going to look like. So this will be the lobby when you come in. Again, we're going to keep the 70s wood features, but really freshen it up in terms of color and lighten it up. There will be a bar that's a 2-way bar that serves both sides, inside and outside the auditorium. That's what it looks like on the inside. If you happen to have an event where you don't need a bar or beverage service, we just close the door like that, and it looks like it's part of the decor. This is what it will look like. So instead of having the permanent chairs in place, we'll remove those. There'll be 2 levels, an upper level and a lower level. Gives us the flexibility to put the chairs in if we want, like we have here in theater-style seating, or we can put tables in, as you see it laid out there, and the divider, the chunky sort of extra seating spaces. That's what it'll look like going down to the stage. So if you want to have some fun, if you take out your phone right now and point it at one of those things, so you open your camera, point it at one of those things, a pop-up will come up. Touch the pop-up. When you do that, it will take you inside the digital rendering of this space. And if you move your phone, you're moving around inside the space. You can also just take a picture of it and do it later, but it's kind of a cool thing that the architects did. And so now you can do a little virtual tour inside. And each one of them is at different angles of the space. Okay, I went through that really quickly, but I wanted to give you some inside scoop on what to expect on campus as you continue to return. I will take a few questions if I have time. Martha and or host? Yes? A couple minutes if there's any questions. Yes, sir.
How do you deal with people renting their property and the taxes?
Renting, you mean like the Airbnbs and so forth?
Or don't you have other people renting offices that are not?
We do. Yeah, so our specific 501c3 designation allows up to, I think, 15 to 17% to come in from profit-based entities, not necessarily associated with ministry. However, our 501c3 designation is really broad, and so much of what we do can be deemed. So the Airbnbs and the hotel, because we're doing spiritual retreats, they can be classified as part of our ministry work. So it'll be a long time before we reach that sort of 15% threshold, and it's largely because the Fillmore's got a special exemption on their 501c3. It's really, really broad. They don't make them that broad anymore when they do the designation. So they were just so ahead of their time in terms of establishing Unity Village as a municipality and doing things like they did with the 501c3. And so does that answer your question? Okay, good. Any other questions? Yes?
This doesn't have anything to do about that.
Okay.
I'm just curious, that event center is astounding. But I'm wondering what happened to the congregation of Unity Chapel? I mean,
Yep.
there was a time when the whole place in the balcony was full, and
Yep.
I know that people, what happened?
They're still here. They're still with us. And they serve, I'm going to say, between 150 and 200 or were prior to the pandemic, 150 to 200 every Sunday. So they're continuing to meet virtually right now, and they will come back in person. At that number, we can comfortably fit them in the Silent Unity Prayer Chapel until this construction is complete. And then they'll have to make a decision, and we'll have to make a decision as to whether it makes sense to have them go back in there. Because the size they are now, that's a pretty cavernous space, and it may be a better fit over there. So we're updating the AV and the lighting and things of that nature to get ready for them to be able to move into there. Good question. In the back, yes?
Could you put it back on? I didn't get to my phone in time. Yeah.
There you go. Yes, in the back.
My name's George. I'm from Colorado.
Hi, George.
I like your new
Oh, the catalog.
Unity catalog here. I just got to look at it. But do you guys, like for people in here who are writers or publish books, do you guys accept submissions? Do you guys accept
Yes.
submissions?
We do. And so there's a number of ways. We have writers for the Daily Word. We accept articles for Unity Magazine, article submissions that way. And we're always looking for booklet writers. So you guys have seen the booklets that come out, right? So for instance, right now the Advent booklet's out, and there's all kinds of different stories by Unity ministers and contributors. So there's ways to get your content included in those publications that way. And then yes, if you are considering a book, we have started publishing again. We have started slowly, as it is the worst time in American history to get into publishing books. But as an educational movement, we thought it was important to sort of restart that back up. And so we're releasing 2 to 3 books a year, and we are taking submissions for those. Reverend Ellen Davenport, many of you may have heard of her. She wrote a book recently called an update of the 5 principles. She is in charge of all of our messaging and publishing. And so if you can't get a hold of her, certainly let Martha know or let myself know. We can get you contact information for her to submit your creative submissions. Okay, I think I've probably right up against it, so I want to, again, thank you all for being here. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for your lovely consciousness, and it's our honor to have you. Thank you.
We thought we would insert a brief inner song for us all before the panel. Wasn't that inspiring? Thank you so much. This one is very, very simple to allow you to go in with it. It goes like this. I am whole and complete in God. I am whole and complete in God. That's it. I am whole and complete in God. I am whole and complete in God. Feeling it. I am whole and complete in God. I am whole and complete in God. Keep it going. if you would imagine your soul singing this to you, and just let it sing inside without it coming out of your mouth. I am again. Again, and breathing it in. Knowing the truth of it. And now again from your mouth. I am whole and complete in God. I am whole and complete in God. One more time. I am whole and complete in God. I am whole and complete in God.
So we do have a message from our beautiful doctors Angelo and Stella Pizzello, and I believe it's going to come in right now. Uno momento.
Hello, this is Angelo Pizzello and Stella.
Hi.
And I want you to know how much I appreciate the fact that ANTN, the Affiliated New Thought Network, is able to have this conference this week, this retreat, since it had to cancel it last week. So we're really grateful for this. I want you to know that Stella and I, this is the very first time we've missed an ANTN retreat in almost 29 years since its founding. And so we have our own challenges. We had to cancel the retreat last year because of the CV-19 challenges, so now we're experiencing our own. I want you to know that the Emerson Institute is thriving, and I really appreciate the tremendous staff members that we have that's helping that to happen. I believe the last couple of years have been the most productive since our founding in 29 years ago. It's wonderful. And today we'll have, during this week, two of our faculty members, and we're going to have Reverend Dr. Sandy West, our continuing education director, and also Reverend Dr. Missy Higginbottom, who's the director of our educational services. And they're both going to be here representing Emerson Institute. They'll also be here conducting the education and the education ceremonies and also the ordination, along with the help of our liaison worker, Reverend Dr. Janine Burns. Stella?
As a senior minister of the Emerson New Thought Center, Church Without Walls, I'm very appreciative for ANTN providing the opportunity for ENTC to conduct and hold the ordination for the ministers. We have deep appreciation and recognition of all of your collective work in New Thought, which has helped to propel participation and growth of ANTN, Emerson Institute, and ENTC. Angie and I are learning and living, going with the flow. We're practicing and living life transitions with grace. We're deeply disappointed that we can't be there in person, but we're there in spirit, and we send along to all of you big hugs and love.
I want you to know we deeply appreciate the ANTN spiritual family, and particularly our role that we play as part of that family, being the educational arm for the affiliated New Thought Network. So you live in our hearts. We deeply love and appreciate you. And we follow the model that was created back in 1992 at our very first meeting of ANTN, that consciousness is the soul, S-O-U-L. Consciousness is the sole authority, and love points the way. Blessings.
There we go. I'm new at this. I haven't used a microphone in a long time. So before I invite up Reverend Jerry to invite up our panel, and by the way, where's my PowerPoint? Get rid of me up there, please. Put on the PowerPoint. Oh, Jerry, you have to do that. Okay.
He's got the power.
Jerry is very technical. He says he's not, but he is. Oh, we have another song. We have, well, okay then. Then we'll do it there. All right, and I'll back it up. All right. So you were invited to ask questions, to write your questions down. Did anybody do that? Please tell me you did. Good. Because we happen to have a basket here. We'll be passing this later tonight to actually receive your donations, but now we'll receive your questions. So I'm going to just send this around. If you could just literally pass it like you would pass a plate, put your question in it, and once it comes back up, I will grab it. But for now, I'm going to turn this over to Reverend Dr. Jerry for him to introduce our panel.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Michelle. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Great to see you today. So one of the benefits of being the president of the organization is you kind of get to horn in and grab the microphone whenever you want to. So I did that. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce 5 of my dearest friends and most beloved colleagues and mentors and so forth. It's been an amazing year, and for those of you that haven't traveled and then actually started traveling, in May was the first time that I got on an airplane, and it was really embarrassing because I wanted to kiss the side of the plane. But I've been here and there and many places and gotten the opportunity to visit with the amazing congregations of these 5 beloved ministers. So Reverend Kathy Engelhardt is the senior minister for Unity of Garden Park outside of Cincinnati. She has the most amazing congregation and the most wonderful place. Reverend Kathy, good morning, and please come forward. Reverend Dr. Paul Gretz is the senior minister at City of Light in Atlanta. He and his congregation have this absolutely gorgeous facility outside Atlanta and also have Crossroads Community Center where they serve the homeless population. Reverend Dr. Paul, welcome, and please come forward. Reverend Dr. Bill Marchioni is the senior minister at New Thought Philly. He is also the ANTN board minister of technology, and I had the opportunity to frolic in a park outside of Philly with his beloved congregation and do tie-dye. I should have brought my shirt. It just turned out fantastically. So Reverend Dr. Bill, thank you so much. Please come forward. Reverend Margaret Pelagi from Joyful Gathering in Collingswood, New Jersey. I had the opportunity to visit them at their new facility, and we just had an amazing time. So glad that you're here, and please come forward. And welcome to our other dear ones from Joyful Gathering as well. We're very happy to have you with us. And finally, my beloved senior minister, Reverend Suzette Wee Hunt from Ohm Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Please come forward. So church ain't what it used to be, and that's kind of using perfect language, perfect English. That's kind of the theme for our conversation this morning. So we so look forward to hearing from all of you and your wisdom and your experiences and where we go from here and so forth. And so if you're comfortable, feel free to take your mask off, and if not, that's okay too. So I will thank you for letting me have the microphone, and I will give it back to our beloved Reverend Dr. Michelle.
Thank you, Jerry. Oh, good. I was just going to do that. And how about that as well? Yes, that as well.
As a minister, you have to be really
Yeah. Yes, I do. So what a beautiful, esteemed panel we have up here. Yes, give them a hand. There is a lot of collective wisdom living up here, and I love the questions that have been asked. And, you know, Reverend Suzette, would you give me the program that's right there? Because I just want to see what time we're supposed to be done here, because I like staying sort of on time. A little bit, anyway. Oh, thank you. We're good. All right, perfect. Thank you, Jerry. All right, so we have a number of questions that you have posed. I appreciate your proposing these great questions, and I don't see any of them directed to any one of you specifically. So I will just ask the question, and whoever feels called to answer it, please do. And because I'm talking to a group of ministers, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Be relatively brief, complete, but brief. And also, let's just, make sure everybody has a chance to talk. Nobody like dominate the whole thing, right? Because I know you guys up here. You're all good, and you could all answer every question. But just to give everyone a chance to speak. So thank you. They keep coming. I love it. Perfect. All right. So I would like to ask this question first, because I just think this is a really important one for us to get your thoughts on. And I think this is actually a great one for all of you. What was your personal highlight or epiphany from your experience during the pandemic? So what was your personal highlight or epiphany from your experience during the pandemic? So if we could just start with Bill and head on down the row, that would be great.
For some reason, Spirit decided that I should have spent the 5 years before the pandemic working in technology for a software company, and I was doing 5 or 6 meetings a day on Zoom. So it turned out that was helpful.
Thank you, Bill. Dr. Paul.
I think for me, the epiphany is that the new norm is already here. And we have to make adjustments to this new norm. I know there's a lot of people say, we'd like to see church go back to the way it was. We'd like to see things return back to was. We need to get rid of that should, and the shoulds in our life, like it should look like this, it should be this way, but we're now in a new norm. So the epiphany is that we need to release all shoulds and begin to look at what is happening right now and how to work in this new now in a new way.
Thank you. Reverend Kathleen.
We have a saying at our church, and it goes like this: God bless the flexible, for we will not get bent out of shape. And I didn't know that it was really going to hit the fan in March of I don't even know anymore, 2020, right? And biggest epiphany for me was to realize how awesome we are as individuals and leaders, and to weather the storm with calm and grace, and the fortitude that human beings have in a collective community, in a collective consciousness. And I never realized that we could connect in such a way without being able to touch each other, and to go through no hugging was, I know, dramatic for all of us, and somehow we figured it out. And that was just mind-blowing to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Reverend Margaret.
Yeah, I would also
Hold that a little closer.
I would also concur with, yes, flexibility being the most important. So we never missed the Sunday service. It might not have been in person, but we set my living room up. I had an audience of one who was my prop man, my lighting guy, my sound, and 2 platforms at the time, because he couldn't handle 3. So we gave him 2. And we did a Saturday night service, because that felt like there was more of an opportunity for people who were all crowding on Sunday morning. And as soon as we could, we went to a space we were renting not in Collingswood, in Haddon Heights, in Westmont, and we did outdoor service for 4 months and didn't miss a Sunday. And then a place we had been looking at for a few years became available. Last year, 2020, October 10th, we moved into the most beautiful ballroom facility in Collingswood, which is quite large. It holds 400. So when we don't have our normal amount of people, but who we have can spread out any way they want. And we haven't, thank you God, missed an opportunity to meet there in person since we reopened there in April. So it's all about flexibility, nice. Going with the flow.
Nice. Thank you.
And I did miss the hugs.
Yeah.
So
thank
I
you.
got one.
Oh. All right.
There are 2 things that I want to say. Do not underestimate the elderly. I can't tell you how many people during this time said, well, they'll never learn. And the technology is so good now. I've got how old is Mary? 92, 93. She's doing it on her Mac, you know? And it's so much fun to watch them glow and realize that they can do it, that they're not left out. So please do not underestimate them. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, during this time, the thing that was most important to me was that they touched each other's hearts, so that they stayed connected. And so if you're not sure what to do, just start a bunch of things every day. A Zoom group on this, a Zoom group on that, a Zoom group on that, so that they connect with each other. And so I have now, which I did not have before, very solid book studies, very solid community studies, very solid Wednesday night programs. And on Sundays, I have more people online than I do in the sanctuary, which is really weird. But what's kind of cool is that I know some of them are going to stay there because of their age and their health. But it's opened the sanctuary up now for more people to show up. So, as God says, you create a space, a vacuum, it must be filled. So we need to know that's going to be filled.
Beautiful. Give them a hand for that. Those were brilliant, beautiful things. Thank you. Thank you. So, Reverend Suzette, you took us right to the next question here. What are the most popular topics or authors with your congregation to discuss or for you to give sermons on? What are the most popular topics or authors at or with your congregation to discuss or talk about? Yes, Reverend Kathleen.
For me, we did a series on the Book of Joy, which was a combined effort with the Dalai Lama and Reverend Desmond Tutu. And boy, did that take off, because we needed to figure out how to have joy. And if you have not read it, I personally would recommend getting it in Audible version, because they have voiceovers for Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. So you're going to hear that Tibetan style voice, and you're going to hear the African voice from South Africa. And so you feel like you are right in the room with these two who have had horrendous challenges and are laughing. And so it was a great, great educational tool for people to grab onto. They're still talking about it, and we did it 6 months ago.
Beautiful, thank you. Reverend Suzette.
2 books, Women Who Run with the Wolves. I started with a group of about 6. I wish I had some men in there. So the guys, I just want to say to you, read the book. If you want to know about women, read the book. It's really cool. It's all about fairy tales, yes. Women Who Run with the Wolves. And then, let's see, the other one was The Way of Mastery. The Way of Mastery. And it's just another really good book.
Was that one by Suzette?
Of which one?
The Way of Mastery.
I don't have the name in my head, but thank you. Clarissa, you guys got it. There you go.
Any other thought? Yes, Bill.
Not specific books. It's the greatest hits: Emma Curtis Hopkins and Don Miguel Ruiz and Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore and the guys who you've all heard about. Some other books that we touch on a little bit, but 52 Weeks a Year is about principle. It's love and law and different ways that we can explain that. Because if we're talking about the same thing every week, then people hear it differently every week, and eventually somebody goes, "Oh," and that's what we're looking for.
I have to comment on that. When I first became a minister, my mentor was, many of you who have been around Anton for a long time will remember Doctors Leonard and Teddy Minks. And so Dr. Leonard really was my main mentor. And he said to me, okay, there's 3 things. There are 3 things you have to teach every single Sunday. You just have to figure out how to teach them differently. Say it a little differently, but just 3 things. God is all there is. I am one with God, and I'm a creator. That's it. That's what you need to teach, and just figure out how to teach it differently. So, yes, Bill, got it. All right, well, let's stay with the idea of books and things with this question. What is the trend of spiritual writing in ministry? Publishing and submissions. What is the trend of spiritual writing in ministry? Publishing and submissions. And you all look a little puzzled, but all right.
I don't mean to hog the
No.
microphone, but it's coming to me.
Okay, good.
And I feel that the trends are about us being more real and vulnerable on the pulpit, in our writings. That's especially what this younger generation wants. They want to hear that you have personal experience in what you're talking about. They are tired of being preached at or preached to. They want experience. That's been my experience of it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Paul.
I agree. I think what people are looking for are the stories where it's working practically for people. I think the greatest thing that we can do is we don't need to promote new thought, we need to attract. So it's a totally difference. A lot of people we need to get more marketing out there, we need to tell what our church is about. No, just tell what people are experiencing, and people will find you, people will come to you in that context. I think that's the same with books. I think if people are writing a little bit more of, this is what I've experienced, this is how it works, this is how it's been practical for me, that's what is really top sellers.
Beautiful, thank you. Let's Bill and then Suzette.
I gave you that doggy head tilt when you asked the question, because there were 2 questions in there. I completely agree. What we're looking for, what people are looking for from us is the authenticity. Interestingly, especially with the younger generation, it doesn't need to be polished. These are people who are very comfortable with unedited TikToks going out, and just, it's the message, it's the content that's important. And to be a publisher, to be an author, to get somebody who's going to print the stuff, you can't just be a writer, you can't just be a thought leader, you need to be a brand. Because they want to know, well, what's on your website? Are you writing a blog? Do you have a newsletter? How many followers do you have, et cetera, et cetera? And that's a whole additional job.
Thank you. Thank you. Suzette?
I just want to say, be authentic. I love that word. That's just so important. And the other part of that is not just about you being authentic, but to encourage your congregation and your people to be authentic. I have one individual who came from another church who was all show. And I'm like, I don't want show anymore. I want you to be you. I want you to feel like you can be you. And sometimes you use bombs that you don't want to use with them. But sometimes the younger people, it's the truth. Sometimes you have to sit with them and speak their language. And don't be afraid of it. I mean, I had one young man I worked with for, I'll keep the story short, who my first conversation with him in private was just bombs the whole time. You know, but you know what? He's been with me now for 3 years. He's a young man that came out of the prison. Oh, makes me want to cry. And he's getting it, and he's following us, and he wants to do a youth group. And it's like, yes, this is what we're about. It's about getting them to understand that we love them however they are. Doesn't matter who they are, however they are, and that we want to be with them. We're not afraid of them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes? Go ahead.
Well, the question is this, because you talk about your experiences and be authentic. So the question is, you're up there on Sunday morning and you're talking and doing your, how do you keep it from being about you? Because you're talking about your experiences. So how do you deal with that?
That's a great question. And I think it's very, very important that you don't stay on your story too long. And you don't share your story in the boohoo manner. You share your story. It does not pour me and I went through this experience. It's about the empowerment that you come across with. That this is this and this is all. You all have had a version of this. You know, our stories are different, but the feelings are the same. I'm about getting them to the feelings. And when you can get them to the feelings, that's where the empowerment starts to happen. Thank you. That's a good question.
And it's not about you, it's about the story. So you don't have to have all the details about you and how fabulous you are, whatever's going on about you. It's about the story and the content of the story and what you experienced and the message in that. And if we're conveying that, it doesn't matter who's telling the story then, because what we really want is to get across the message.
Reverend Margaret. Thank you.
Yeah, so it really is teaching principle, basically, as you said, those 3 questions every week. And if there is a personal story, it's a lesson. I'm telling a story. I feel like I'm even removed me from the story because it's about getting the main point across, whatever that may be. So it's about learning and sharing that, and people feel that. There's such a heart connection that they love when you're real. And I don't know how to be anything else. Yeah. So it just goes together.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch base. When I'm telling a story, I can tell a story about myself, or I can tell a story about somebody else, rub the serial numbers off so they're not recognizable. I can tell a mythical story, or I can tell a joke. And as long as the content, the message is coming through, it's not about me. Even though when I talk about me, people would say, ooh, you've done all those things. I'm not talking about that, because listen to how it sucked, and you don't want a part of my story that sucked. So it's not about me being grand.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, our stories, any story helps make the point. It's an illustration of whatever the spiritual teaching is. And I just want to jump in really fast because when you were talking about bombs, it occurred to me a great book that I had the nerve to do, like the month before I left the church, after I had already given my notice, I was already leaving, so I figured, what are they going to do if I talk about this book? Fire me? And it was called You're a Badass.
Oh, yes.
Have you read You're a Badass is an amazing book to deepen just into who you are and to use as from sermon fodder. We had so much fun, and I said badass from the pulpit a lot. And like I said, what are they going to do, fire me? I'm already leaving, so it was all right. All right, let's see. Let's go to, so there is a question here about Emerson, and whoever asked that, I'm going to ask you to hold that question for our membership meeting, because we'll have I think Reverend Missy will be our Emerson emissary, I guess I'll say, and we'll be happy to address that question then. So I'm going to ask whoever asked that question to hold that one. And this one I want to save to the end. All right, so I love this. I love all of these, actually. How or what will be the shift in thinking about who the New Thought tribe is and how to serve them? Let me say that one again. How or what will be the shift in thinking about who the New Thought tribe is and how to serve them?
Okay, I'll try to answer that. I don't think about the tribe or anything else. I show up to be there of service, and whoever shows up, I don't care who shows up. And we're getting all kinds of different people showing up in person, and we just serve them. So whatever that looks like, I don't know yet, but this is the whole beauty of ANTN and of New Thought, is that we're open at the top, so whoever shows up, whatever it looks like, we're ready. We're ready because we're based in love. That's the tribe.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you. Reverend Suzette.
I was just going to say, you know, how many years have we put labels on each other? Raise your hand. I would really like us to stop doing that. And you know, I'm against the grain here. How many CSL people are here? Okay, so I'm a little under the grain, behind the grain here, and I'm here because I want us to love each other, to appreciate each other. We all have knowledge. We all have something to give. We need to work together. And so who is the tribe? Everybody's the tribe.
That's right.
Doesn't matter where we are, where we're located, what state, any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. And so I'm just going to encourage us, maybe we begin today by just saying we're all one. And so when we see the homeless person, we see a different church, we see a different color, we see a different race, we see whatever that is, we're all together. I love to walk in a room and see where there's conflict and just let God speak to me and come up with something positive that stops it. Stops the nonsense, because it's not necessary anymore. You know, there's been too much divisiveness. We all know that. We all feel that. It makes me really, it heartens me to have to even say that. And so I think it's time for us to be love to everybody.
Thank you, beautiful. Let me go to Dr. Bill and then Dr. Paul.
It's a great question, and the answer is we don't know. And when I say we don't know, it's not me and not the panel. None of us knows. The answer is surrender. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And if you like where you are now, great, keep it up. And if you're looking for what the next breakthrough is going to be, then let go of your attachment to what was. Surrender. You've heard of this, right? This is like part of your spiritual practice. Make it part of your professional practice too. Let it go. Not that it's no good. If it's a great idea, it'll come back up. But let go of your attachment, and then when something new shows up, there's a little room to say yes to it.
I think how we might serve that new tribe, or whatever our future is changing and evolving. And we may have to let go of thinking that Sunday morning is our one product that we offer. And Sunday morning is how we judge how well our center is doing or how successful we are as a pastor. And I think in the future, People are looking for connecting on spirituality and education and the spiritual experience on their time levels. Sunday morning may not work for people anymore. They develop habits, and those habits are set right now over a year and a half where they've slept in on Sunday morning. Trying to now say, we want you to all come back and break that habit is going to be a difficult challenge for us. So we have to think in new ways, and how we might serve them would be that we're looking at new opportunities. I think, it may be that people are taking classes on Tuesday nights, or they're tuning into your YouTube channel no longer for live streaming at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, but they're watching it at 12 o'clock midnight, or they're watching it on Thursdays instead of Sundays. They're finding it at different times, and we have to be flexible for that. I think also, thinking of how we serve them, I think people in this world are looking for more than just coming for the teaching. They want to have the practical experience as well. So I think for us in Atlanta, we've found that a lot of people are very intrigued by the compassion programs that we do, that we're actually practicing what we teach, and that we're serving the hungry and the homeless with hot meals and clothing, and the vision that we have of outreach in that context of caring for and creating a world that works for everyone, not just a few. So I think how we look to the future is certainly looking from a totally different perspective than maybe what we had done in the past, because it's a new future, and it's here now.
For me, I would say that, there's something about that tribe thing. I always say it takes a village to raise a church. And for me, I think we're being called, to look at the congregation is not just who's in the seats and who's on connecting of our spiritual family. What I'm finding is I am thinking globally. We have somebody tuning in every week from Denmark. We have somebody from the UK, Michigan, Florida, Northern California. We're in Southern Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. It is no longer the way we used to do it. And it's all about love. Mm-hmm. And love is universal. And I got somebody 7 hours ahead is tuning in. We do lunch with the minister on Zoom every Monday. We talk more about the lesson on Sunday. So in Denmark, she's having dinner with the minister while we're all having lunch. And it's huge about dropping, Susie, I love what you said. Drop these labels. It's about love.
Beautiful. And that takes me to the last question we have time for, and thank you all for submitting questions. I know we didn't get to all of them quite, so if you want to grab one of these brilliant souls and ask them your question, feel free to do that. But I want to end with this one, which you've already begun addressing, but I'd love to hear briefly from each of you if you don't feel like you've already answered this question. And the question is, what do you see as the future of New Thought? What do you see as the future of New Thought?
I think the thing is, we've got to keep the main thing the main thing. There's a lot of trends right now where people want to pull us, let's get into this social message, let's talk about these political issues, let's get that. And a lot of churches I see are being pulled away by the latest trend, and I want to say, let's get back to keeping the main thing the main thing. If we are just there constantly teaching principle, the byproduct of truth will be all these things that people are wanting. Social action will happen naturally if you teach the truth, if you're teaching principles. If you want change in the environment, or if you are concerned about racism and all these issues that people want to preach about from the pulpit, just preach the truth, teach the truth. When they get that, they'll know how to apply that. And everything else will be a byproduct, and you'll be amazed. When we focus on the byproduct, we're not focusing on the source. What happens, we create a lot of weak congregations. But when we teach the root of what we believe, the byproducts, the blossoms, the fruit of it will be evident.
Beautiful, thank you. Yes. Suzette, Reverend Suzette.
I want to just say this, be ready to change if you're not ready to change. One of the things that I did, I learned to do, I should say, is that I have a dedicated line just for Zoom community. And I have a TV screen where I can see all of their faces, and I talk to them. So I connect with them at that level. You know, I think, this is just made up in my head, but I think they love it when I say, "Hi, Mary," you know, "Hi, Sylvia," "Hi, whoever." They love it that I care enough to notice they're on there. That may sound small, and, you know, I have 20 people up there, so I got to say 20 names, but I don't think of it as saying. It's more I'm connecting with them. So, one, be ready to do that. And again, I've made it a separate Zoom for them. And the reason why is I tried to do that with one computer, and when it came up on Facebook, it didn't translate. So that's just one thought. The second thought is to have a separate, and I have a separate computer that's for Facebook and YouTube and my PowerPoints and all that other stuff. So there, you basically have a split screen, and then spend time, money on somebody who's really good in technology. And the last thing I'll say is, as a minister, as much as you don't want to know what this takes, get in there and dig in there and understand what the technology is. So if your technology guy leaves, girl leaves, woman leaves, you know what to do. So you're not left. So have a, cross-train people. That's all I want to say.
Since you're talking technology, I'm going to jump in on that. And first of all, I'm going to say to the folks who are on the Zoom, if you turn on your camera even just for a moment, we will see you here in the room. If your camera's off, we don't see you. So we can say hi to Angelo and to Lisa and to anybody else. Steve and Abigail were on earlier. There we go. To Maria is there. Hey there, it's good to see you. Because we can do that because this is interactive, because it's back and forth. There's Steve. Yeah, see, there's the crowd.
Let's see them all.
They were hiding. They had their heads down below the pew, so we couldn't see what they were doing. We need to remember that this is a teaching. Somebody says, is this a religion? Well, it's not really a religion. Is it a philosophy? Well, it's more than just a philosophy. So what is it? It's a teaching. So we are teaching, and we're teaching principle, and we're teaching principle all the time. And if we remember that, then the future is going to be different ways to teach. One of my friends actually quotes her dad, who grew up as a minister. She was raised in the ministry, and his line was, "Get your ass in class." Yeah. You can tell the people who are serious about this because they are studying, because they're growing, and because they're advancing that way. And the last thing I'm going to say is make sure you know who you are. I'm blessed with an incredibly diverse community, and I am very clear that I am a middle-aged, heterosexual white man. The problem looks like me, and by acknowledging that to begin with, we have some room for conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Reverend Kathleen. And then
I just want to say I love what you just said, sparked something in me to remind ourselves we are about education, and that's how we make a difference in the world. And that I just sit here and I'm looking out here, and I am just in awe of all of you, because we are game changers, and you've said yes to something big, and to encourage you. And also along the lines of what you said, if you do not have a spiritual mentor or coach for yourself, I almost want to say shame on you. If you're going to be in the field where you're educating and coaching, then stay green and stay ripe and stay active and up currently, so you're good, so that then you can help others find that truth in themselves. Thank you.
Reverend Margaret?
I forgot what the question was at this point.
What do you see as the future of New Thoughts?
Okay, so I don't go into futures. I really do live in the now. I can't even think a year ahead. So for me personally, and I think for the community, and I think that most people would agree with this, it is truly all about community. People want to connect, however they connect. I'm guided. If someone has a great idea, great, let's go with that, if it makes sense. I'm blessed, I'm not blessed, Joyful Gatherings blessed with a beautiful board of really diverse people on that board who guide us and who make sure that we're doing the correct thing for the whole, for the good of the community. And so for me, however that looks like, to show up for community and just be that love, be that truth, however that looks, that's where we're going.
And where you are.
That's where I am, because I don't know anything else.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let us give this panel a hand. Thank you all so very much. Thank you all so very much. You may leave. You're dismissed. Yes, no, thank you so much. You could leave the mics right there. Oh, thank you so much. We don't want that. Okay, thank you.
There was going to be announcements and then the song, but should we just do the song?
No, we'll do announcements right now, which I'll just do from right here, because you can see them right up here on the screen. Just a reminder that we are going to take a break in just a moment, right after a beautiful song, and then we'll come back this afternoon, and we'll hear from Reverend Jerry Troyer and have a really powerful workshop that you are going to want to be a part of. It's timely, it's beautiful. Yes, Carol? Well, I'm after break. What I meant was after break. My apologies. Thank you for clarifying. We'll take a break right now till 11. We'll come back at 11 and hear from Dr. Jerry. And then you can see what I want. Then we'll do lunch, and it's all in your program. Then we'll have Mitch Horowitz with us live, but from Zoom. And, we've got keynote this evening with Melissa and Z. Woohoo! Labyrinth tonight at 9 o'clock because it's going to be warm. Quote. I put that at quotes. You can put your prayer request at the registration box. Quickly, two very important things. Do you have something also you're horning in on me?
Jolly Wagon campus tour this afternoon, 2:30 at the bookstore. Don't be there on New Thought time. Be there at 2:30. We tend to run maybe just a few minutes late. You'll miss the wagon. Be there on time. And chair yoga has been canceled. So no chair yoga.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's an hour. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, yes,
Raffle
I got
tickets.
it. I got it.
Raffle
I got it.
tickets.
Raffle tickets. You can buy your raffle tickets from either Brock or Vance. And finally, very important, tonight for our evening service, we will take a love offering. And I don't know if you know this, as the treasurer I do, that a very large portion of ANTN's income, and thank you for those of you who support us during the year, and you all do so beautifully, and a large chunk of our income comes from the conference. And we didn't have one last year. So I really invite you to bring your loving heart and your open checkbooks tonight as we take our offering. So that's my treasurer pitch. And now, Melissa Enzi.
Us.
Okay, then. All right, we're going to move a little bit because, we've been sitting here. So I'm going to invite you to repeat after me and move. If you want to stand, you can. I don't know. I don't want to mess up the camera.
Well,
though.
Is
that going to?
If you're going to stand,
All right.
kind of go to the side.
Let's stand.
Yeah, you can stand.
And spread out and make sure you can see us. Very important, especially me, because I'm doing the moves. but you want to see my beautiful wife as well. Okay, all right, so please repeat after me. We're going to clarify, magnify, and then I say occupy, and you say occupy your faith. Not occupy your face, although feel free to do that. So occupy
your faith.
So let's put it together. Clarify. So it's a call and response. So I know I'm so cool, you want to say the same time as me. But it's actually I say it, then you say it. All right. We're going to clarify. Magnify. Occupy your faith. And then we're going to glorify. Testify. Fortify your faith. Your faith. Fortify your faith, right? Yeah, you got it. Y'all sound great. There's a lot of energy here. All right.
Yeah. So is this mic hot enough? You all can hear me well? All right. Good.
Okay.
It sounds quiet to me, but that's all right. Okay, so then you're going to sing. And just to teach it to you, I'll have you echo. But when we do it, we'll all sing it together, okay? Then you're going to go, fortify. Fortify. Fortify your faith. Fortify your faith. Fortify. And then you can do a little move when you do this. Fortify. That's so good. Fortify your faith. Fortify your faith. That's it.
Got it? Okay.
All right, we're
and,
ready, Larry.
And I like to move, so don't be alarmed. Please feel free to move with me if you want. Okay, we're going to assume the position.
Fortify, fortify, fortify your faith. Fortify, fortify, fortify your faith.
Oh, yeah. When I was a child, a little bitty baby child, I didn't believe in nothing. Faith is for suckers, I told myself. People who are weak, people who need help. But all around me, everyone would say, you gotta believe, you gotta pray. Believing in nothing ain't no way. Here's what you gotta do each and every day. You gotta clarify, magnify, occupy your faith, and then you gotta glorify, testify, fortify your faith.
You've got to fortify your faith. You've got to fortify your faith. Oh, yeah.
Time went on, and I grew up. I started to question. I said, what's up with my life, the world, the universe, and how things work? Why am I here? Tell me now, what's my worth? I started to notice synchronicities and a power beyond what I could see. Next thing I knew, I heard Spirit say, here's what you gotta do. Each and every day you gotta clarify, magnify, occupy your faith, and then you gotta glorify, testify, fortify your faith.
Oh, you got to fortify your faith. You got to fortify your faith.
You can do
it.
Make it strong.
Make it stronger. Come on, pay attention. There's no need to wait. Fortify your faith.
Now I know, now I see that faith is so much bigger than me. It starts in the heart and grows. Where it stops, God only knows. So if you're down, if you're blue, remember that Spirit is bigger than you. Let it hold you, take you, shape you. And here is all you have to do. You gotta clarify, magnify, occupy your faith, and then you gotta glorify, testify, fortify your faith. Oh yeah, you gotta clarify, magnify, occupy your faith, and then you gotta glorify, testify, fortify your faith.
You got to fortify your faith. You got to fortify your faith. Sing it again. You got to fortify your faith.
Have a wonderful break. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.
9.